Are you noticing your car insurance rate creep up even without tickets or claims? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry handles the legwork by comparing quotes side by side from over 50 top insurers so you can confidently hit buy. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Jerry even tracks rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Don't settle for higher rates. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/libsyn today. That's jerry.ai/libsyn.
So remind me again, why didn't you just rent a truck and move yourself?
Well, been there, done that. Just once. Wound up with a squashed couch, a stiff neck, and my brother ghosting me for 6 months.
I get it. I'm staring at a mountain of boxes and suddenly realize managing this move is my entire life.
That's why we moved with Mayflower. They handled everything. The packing, loading, timing. No guessing, no chaos, no trips to the chiropractor.
But isn't hiring a mover kind of pricey?
Not when you factor in truck rental, gas, time off work, and your stuff getting messed up. With Mayflower, we had a move coordinator and actual professionals. I slept the night before moving day.
Sleeping before a move? Sounds very grown up.
Right? It felt like, okay, we've got this.
So doing it yourself may be simple in theory, but Mayflower is calmer in reality. Is that it?
Exactly.
Moving? Trust the people who've been doing it for generations, every step of the way. Get a free quote at mayflower.com.
Hello, and welcome back to Emotionally Unavailable. I'm your host, Malisa Hepner. Nice to see everyone. Recording this kind of late at night. It's been one of those days where I'm forgetting what's on my to-do list. This was on my to-do list. I have not even done the promo for today's episode of Unquiet Soul. Just realized that as I started to push record on this, so we're doing great. It's great. Did I say I don't even have makeup on? Anyway, the real test of authenticity is if I post any clips from this tomorrow. But anyway, okay. So I wanted to talk about two things because these are the things that have been coming up a ton in either my brain, spirit, or conversation with clients or other people. So at the end of the episode with Angie that will air next week on Unquiet Soul, we started getting into a conversation about identity work within manifestation. And because this podcast really does focus kind of aside from Emotionally Unavailable, it really is more, I try to make it like an intersection of psychology and spirituality. Now, sometimes I do allow more like of the super woo-woo stuff that doesn't necessarily touch on the like root of psychology, I'll say. But for the most part, I try to keep it pretty grounded, I think. Actionable, try to give you some like something that you could take away from today to start integrating into your own life. So anyway, without talking manifestation specifically, there is a psychological root to the idea of manifestation. And so that's what I want to talk about because what I saw in my life is room for improvement, we'll say. So at the end of that conversation, I was talking about how sometimes like because my period makes me so emotional, and I'm not saying that's not the case for everyone, but for me personally, when I get that emotional, especially because it's always with the full moon, since I've been bleeding with the full moon for a while now, there's just so much energy and it's very heavy. And I always get so worried that the things I want I'm not going to be able to receive because my energy's all off, because I'm not in the energy to receive. And so I get a little worried about that. And then she said something about, you'll just have to listen to the episode next Tuesday, but she said something about identity. And I was like, right, I forgot. Like it's about the identity of the person who receives the things that you are asking for. And so once we got off that call, oh my God, I was so energized because I was like, right, identity, but here's the truth. So what I said in that episode was the identity of the person that's asking for the life that I am asking for is actually not doing that much one-on-one therapy, has the type of schedule that allows for all of this creativity and impulsivity and getting to like travel to do some of the work that I want to do, which right now my current caseload doesn't necessarily allow for that. And then if I don't even have that big of a caseload, but if I did, that the things that I want to be doing I would have even less time for. So I was thinking about that. I've been thinking about it a lot, actually. And I'm getting these like stirrings of things that are calling to me to want to do. And so when I thought about it, I said, okay, well, the identity of the identity I'm trying to step into, that person does more live events, live in person with a collaboration. I do think I'm the happiest when I get to plan something with someone else, when all of the weight doesn't fall on me, and when it is fun to just collaborate together. I think that feels the best. I think like to live the happiest, fullest life, the work that I do would include more of that. And then I've been thinking a lot too on that vein about right now, the idea is just kind of, there's a seed planted. So it's not even like, well, no, the seed hasn't even been planted. I'm holding the seed of an idea. Okay. So I've been thinking where I live, there's like a community center that offers community education. And I think I'm really trying to target people in Jake's age group, which if you're new here, my son, Jake, died in December of 25, so 7.5 months ago, because he thought he was buying a Percocet and he bought a pill that was manufactured with a synthetic opioid called cyclorphine in it. It's 10 times more potent than fentanyl, and he died immediately in our home. So I really want to target people his age, and I envision this being the feeling that I got from the support group that I went to, the grief group, and the feeling that people get from AA, where it's like a no judgment, but with me as an actual facilitator. Like in AA, if you've never been to one of those groups, I grew up in them because if you don't know, my parents were addicts when I was growing up. My dad died when I was 15 of an acute morphine overdose, and my mom died when I was 22 of complications related to Hep C and cirrhosis. And I was pregnant with my first kid, irrelevant. Okay, so I grew up in those meetings, and it's very usually step focused. They're talking about that step. And then everyone's just kind of sharing their weekly experience, how it ties into the step. Just a real like open-hearted kind of situation. That was my experience in them anyway. And so, but I don't want to call it a therapy group. I want it to have that support group type feel, but where I am incorporating teaching. I want them to learn how to talk about their shit, but like me be there to unpack the shit. Maybe me and other people. The other thought is, man, inpatient psych for youth specifically, but really even adults here in Oklahoma is absolute fucking garbage. So is rehab here. And I'm really thinking about how I can contribute to creating a better environment for people seeking help. So those are seeds I'm holding. Here's the thing though, like where I'm just going to be really honest. I'm not afraid to do work to get there. Like if I just knew like, oh, okay, these are the steps that you take and this is the outcome, that's one thing. But there's a lot of vulnerability involved in the work I'm trying to create in that new identity, like a lot of vulnerability, because like I'm picturing creating this group and nobody showing up week after week, nobody there, or one person there, or two people there, which if two people showed up, that'd be great because that's two people who can talk to each other. And I really would be pretty happy, but like nobody showing up. I've had an event that nobody showed up to before. I mean, really, I was okay with it because it was an online event, but like if I create these events that nobody shows up for, because I really, in terms of live events, I want to do 1 to 3 day retreats, but mostly like mini retreats. Ashana and I are planning on one right now. If you don't know Ashana, she has a podcast, The Reclamation Room. She's been on the show a few times. She's near and dear to my heart. And she is Way Home Wellness on Instagram. She's fucking amazing and just madly in love with her. So we are planning something, but I envision myself again, that intersection of psychology and spirituality. And truly, I've become really intimate with what my gifts are. And I'm aware that I do have a gift of synthesizing information for people in a way that not everybody has. I can take a concept and translate it and people hear the way they need to hear it. That's a gift, and it is one of my gifts. And so I want to do that. I want to do more of that. But the thought of organizing things and nobody showing up. So those are things I've really been thinking about. It's like, what is that identity that I'm trying to step into? What are the things that they do to make those things happen? Because having these seeds is great. It's beautiful, but I have to be the one to plant them. I have to prepare the soil. I have to plant them. I have to tend to them. And there is that, fear of what if I'm not enough? What if I bite off more than I can chew, especially right now where I have a pretty limited capacity. And so I think about that stuff a lot. Today's just Tuesday, so I just had that conversation with her yesterday, but it hasn't left me. And that's how I know I'm onto something. And then thinking about that is what sparked these other ideas. So I'm not saying I'm going to go open up an inpatient psych unit for children, but I am saying I see something happening. And I never thought I would work with kids again because it's just not where my passion is. But I do think there's a way to help kids, because this is the thing that I keep telling myself. And I told his dad this yesterday. There's always going to be a new drug. I'm not interested in getting drugs off the street. There's always going to be something. What I'm interested in is helping people not feel like that's the only option, is to escape through these drugs. So that's something. Okay, what was the other thing I was going to talk? Oh, yes. So this keeps coming up in my own life, in clients' lives. So if you saw what I posted on Instagram or social media, like feedback from someone, we continued that conversation a little bit, and we were kind of talking. Hey guys, it's me. Emotionally Unavailable is produced 100% in-house by me with no team. So if this show has ever helped you and you want to give back, subscribe to the Patreon. There's several different levels with different benefits in each. Check the show notes and you can see what each tier subscription will get you. There's also lots of fun things coming down the pipeline for the Patreon subscribers. So get in early. You can get a workbook, you can buy merch, you can do any of the things, and all of that supports the show to help it keep going. Really appreciate every single one of you. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see what we continue to do together. And about how it's tough every time you reorient to the fact that the growth never ends and you're going to cycle through a lesson. Some people say you'll cycle through until you learn it and then it'll go. I think there are some lessons you're never going to stop relearning on a deeper level. As much as it sometimes frustrates me, it's also so breathtaking, and I'm so grateful for it, because every time I get that deeper understanding of a concept that I've learned 1,000 times, I feel so much freedom in that and just lit up with excitement that I understand something so intimately. And when you learn something that completely shifts the way you see things, your perspective, your vantage, all of the things, that's what I call a spiritual awakening. When you all of a sudden have a more conscious understanding of something, which means you're not shaming yourself, you're not judging yourself or others, and you're not living on autopilot, and you're not taking things personally, and you're not getting your feelings hurt because you understand what the truth is, which is these things are happening for me and not to me. Their shit's about them, my shit's about me, and all I have any responsibility for or control over are my own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And man, I will tell you, every single day I see in myself and others the way we will bust hell wide open to make our outer world match our inner world. And how if we have a story that we were programmed to believe, we will make sure to confirm that story over and over and over through a lot of self-sabotage, honestly. And how afraid we are to trust others, and how afraid we are to trust ourselves, and how love is so scary because it leaves you open to so much pain and heartache. It really does. And you know what? You're going to get a lot of pain and heartache the more you love in this lifetime. And so much love and so much joy and so much peace and so much abundance. So I'm just full of love today. And I want people to understand that you can have all of this knowledge, all of this understanding, and even have integrated the tools over and over and over and still fuck up all the time. All the time. I still lose my temper. I still get insecure. Well, that's all I can think of, but I don't shame myself for those things. I get curious about my responses. I know how to hold myself in any given situation. I know how to ask for what I need. I know how to experience the full range of emotions given to us as humans. And like I was just telling a client before this who was like feeling all of this like dysregulation due to some rumination, like, well, yeah, I mean, this is probably going to happen 16 more times during this period of time that you're stressing about. But every time you just use the tools. Every time use the tools. It's okay if it happens 16 more times. What's not okay is not accessing the tools that you fully understand how to use. Like that's the important part, is that you use the tools. Use them. Continue to learn. Be grateful for the opportunity to continue to learn. Be grateful that you are even conscious of the fact that you need to learn and that you're not taking everything personally or victimizing yourself by believing that the bad things that happen in your life are some sort of punishment, or even, forgive me for saying this, karma. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I just gave my definition of karma in the last episode, but I am telling you right now, if it's happening, it is not happening to you. Now, it is okay to have a 24-hour whatever pity party. That's okay. That's normal. That's human. What are you going to do next? How are you going to respond next? And it's just like losing your temper. What's the next step? Regulate. How are we going to regulate? Maybe we need to eat. Maybe we need to sleep. Maybe we need to walk. Maybe we need to shower. Maybe we need to talk. Maybe we need a hug. And then what's the next step? Okay. Apologize, repair, learn. I really do not shame myself very much. I mean, I'll have those normal guilty feelings or whatever, and I allow them. I say this every episode almost, but resistance keeps you stuck. So that feeling came up for a reason. It is there to protect me from something, and I will allow it to just be there as long as it needs to. And then it will go on its own without me even trying, because I'm not feeding it with a bunch of stories. But still, I'll get those normal feelings of guilt. But I'm not shaming myself, because shame, I don't care what anybody says. Fight me, I don't care. Shame doesn't help anyone. There's not a single ounce of shame that will promote change in a human being, period. So I don't shame myself. I love myself through all of my mistakes, because that's what we as humans need, and it's what we deserve. Because all of my worth and value as a human is right here inside of me. Nothing external of me changes that. So I am love. I am a part of this collective of love. And I believe we are all a piece of the same one. And I don't think we're all that different. And so I'm going to lovingly encourage you to take a look at the lessons that keep popping up in your life and what you can learn from them, and to forgive yourself for being a human who makes mistakes, and forgive yourself for all the mistakes you've ever made. And on that note, if you feel like this version of you that's conscious has forgiven yourself, that's amazing. But until you go back and just picture the versions of you who have had those experiences that need to be forgiven, it doesn't close the loop until then, I believe. That's my opinion. But I've done a lot of work like that with reparenting, inner child work, where I'm communicating with that version of me a lot. And I don't have to do that as much anymore. But anyway, I think that that's a really important piece. And I think compassion for yourself goes so far. And yeah, I would encourage you to do some identity work. And actually, I just remembered this. Today, I thought possibly this weekend of going live on social media with someone, maybe Ashana, maybe Angie, to do like an identity workshop, just, an hour, answer questions, go through kind of how you can do an identity audit and really think about which identities you're trying to step in. And let's be intentional about those little baby micro steps towards that new identity, because that's the key to lasting change, is who am I trying to become here? You don't need to become anyone different to be whole, to be good, to be loved, to be worthy. But if you're asking for a certain life, it requires you to show up a certain way. So that's really what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about this idea of when I get better, when I'm this person. You can be whole human with a bunch of flaws right now. You are worthy right now. You're great exactly how you are. But if you're asking to make more money, to have a bigger house, just more time, freedom, a family, whatever it is that you're hoping to get out of this life, you have to show up a different way. We have to stop self-sabotaging, and we have to be less afraid and actually maybe build a roadmap, not too detailed. Anyway, I think that's a great workshop. I think that's, answering those questions. I think it'd be good. I'd love to hear what you think about that. And I was only going to do it this weekend because of the Lionsgate portal. It's 8/8, and they say, it's better time for manifesting and whatever. And maybe I will, and then maybe I'll do another one. But anyway, I'm really excited about these little seeds that I'm holding, and I'm going to encourage you to hold your seeds so close to your little spirit and know that you are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough to step into any identity that you want. So just to recap, growth never ends, and you're going to continue to cycle through lessons over and over and over. And I don't think that there's like one thing that you're supposed to learn that's going to close the loop. I think you're going to continue learning certain things because I believe that we are each here to learn specific things. So if that's like what your spirit came here to learn, well, you're going to get a lot of opportunities to learn. So anyway, there's that, and there's the identity stuff. So if you don't join a workshop, you could probably go on TikTok, honestly, and search up identity audit. You could look at Alexis Otto. She's got some pretty good identity stuff. She's got workbooks that you can get that are real identity focused in her shadow work, but mostly just figure out like, who are you trying to be? What is the person, the life that has the life that you want? What time do they wake up? How are they spending their mornings? Who do they spend most of their time with? How do they spend it? What do they talk about? What do they do for fun? What are their hobbies? What are their favorite foods? What do they drive? Where do they live? What do they do for work? All of those things. What's their nighttime routine? What's their skincare routine? Like, how are they taking care of themselves? Because the bigger your life is, the more like fine-tuned you have to be to keep up with it. I mean, if you have a really full life, you got to take care of yourself or you can't keep up with it, right? So anyway, I hope you can feel my excitement because I am very, 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 very excited about this and lots of things and in general. And also, it just felt so good to get that feedback. I do love hearing how my show impacts people. I appreciate all of you so much. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, follow, share, rate, review on whatever platform you're on. And it helps me get pushed out to a wider audience. And also, it helps me in the ratings. Right now, I am listed as a top 5% podcast. I'm shooting for top 3 right now, and you can help with that. But I do love feedback. So I hope that I'll start hearing and getting more engagement on some of these things. But I love you. Like, if you're listening, I love you sincerely, deeply, madly, wholly. And yeah, I'll see you later.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. Emotionally Unavailable. All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming.
INDEPE and cut.